vaginal infections in women. It was Yoga Pants, very high-end company. And we believe it was from the toxic chemicals that they were making in the pants. Because, again, this stuff isn't made in the United States. It's all shipped from China. It's shipped from other countries where the quality control, let's say, is a lot lower than it should be. So just be careful with that. And if you do have these issues, you want to get if you have issues, you want to get your hormones tested. We do a test that's called a Dutch test. And in a Dutch test, we can measure your hormone levels and find out where the breakdown is and then what direction we need to go in with it. So I love the Dutch test. I did my Dutch test, and I found there were certain issues that I had. I simply took some supplements, balanced it out. Dutch test was fine. So you don't always need hormones. Now, sometimes you need hormones. I'm not saying you never need hormones from the outside source, but let's try to fix it naturally first. Then we can bump up to the hormones. Because one of the issues is if you're taking hormones from the outside, let's say it's estrogen or testosterone, your body says, I got plenty of testosterone, Joe. I don't need to make any more. And so my organs, my adrenal glands, my testicles, slow down their production and eventually can actually shrivel up and die. And you could shrink those organs because they don't have to work. Organs want to work. If you stop using them, the organs can start to what we call atrophy or shrink. So the plastic is affecting inflammation. It's affecting hormones. Many times it acts like estrogen, and it causes an inflammatory reaction. And that's why some doctors, if they see high levels of estrogen, they'll put you on progesterone to kind of counteract the estrogen. But that could be not the best choice. If necessary, absolutely. But there are things like I take Dr. Joe's men's hormone support, Dr. Joe's adrenal support, omega-3 fatty acids, diindolylmethane, which is Dr. Joe's estrogen regulator. So I take 4 different hormones to help balance out, 4 different supplements, to balance out my hormones every day. And when I get my test done, I'm usually in pretty good shape. And people say, wow, at your age, you're in really good shape. What are you doing? Well, I'm giving my body the raw materials that it needs to help build them. I don't know how people survive without taking supplements. I live and breathe by my supplements. I know I have this. I want to make sure my hormones are normal, my liver's fine. At least Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. That's the minimum supplements everybody should be taking. If you're not doing that, at least, folks, Super Greens and Essential Source. They're on the website, drjoe.com. I would say Super Greens, Essential Source, vitamin D, which is a hormone, by the way, and B complex. All vitamin D is a hormone. Don't think mine is. All of them are. And that would be my starter kit. Super Green Essential Source D and B. Methylated B complex, because a lot of you can't absorb the vitamins unless they're in a methylated form. Then I take nitric oxide to increase the circulation to my heart, my lungs, my reproductive organs, my digestive system. Because as you get older, your nitric oxide levels plummet. Take a supplement. It's simple. It's easy. It's cheap. Such an easy fix. I take glutathione to make sure my liver is able to detoxify and clean itself out, hopefully slowing down the aging process. I take my men's hormone support. I take about 10 supplements a day. I had a patient come in the other day. No, I was at a party. I'm sorry. That's right. I was at a party, and somebody recognized me, and they started talking about health like they always do, which I'm fine with. And he said, I don't want to be one of these people that takes supplements every day. I said, why? As he's drinking a beer, by the way, and eating a hamburger with French fries. And I said, why wouldn't you want to be somebody who takes supplements every day? Well, I have friends that take a bunch of supplements every day. I don't want to have to do that. Why? It literally takes seconds to do. It's very inexpensive, cheaper than that beer you're drinking right there. Well, I just don't want to do that. Okay, that's fine. Save the supplements for people that want to take them. And I don't get that mentality. I don't want to take supplements because I have to physically take them. Well, you take medication. You're on medication. You're on blood pressure medication and cholesterol medication. Take it every day? Yeah. I didn't get that argument. So let's talk about different ways, sources of plastics, and then what to do about it. So bottled water, of course, is the big one right there. Get yourself a whole house water filter. Get yourself some stainless steel or glass containers. Drink out of that. I do it every day, and it's not just your drinking. What about the water you bathe in? Because your skin is a sponge. Things can be absorbed through your skin. Not just heavy metals and plastics, but toxic chemicals. When you take a medication, cholesterol, blood pressure, birth control, you go to the bathroom, a lot of it passes out. The water you're drinking, a lot of places, is just recycled sewer water. And we can filter out viruses, germs, bacteria, particles. We can't filter out medications. So there is actually residual medication in your tap water in most cases. So I want to make sure I'm filtering out everything I possibly can. That's why I have a whole house water filter. If you bathe, if you flush your toilet, chlorine isn't leaking up into the air. When I cook with foods, I wash my foods. So I have a whole house water filter, and I think you probably should too. They're not cheap, but they're well worth it. So bottled water, not a good idea, because it usually comes in plastic. Even if it comes in glass, the top can be leaching. Tap water, again, just get a whole house water filter. Seafood. When Moses wrote Leviticus, long time ago, Moses said, don't eat bottom dwellers, don't eat shellfish. Because they live on the bottom and they absorb the toxic chemicals. They take in heavy metals, lead, mercury, chromium. And so they absorb all these toxic chemicals, and that can be an issue. And so what you have to, not chromium, I'm sorry, but you have to get these toxic chemicals out of the system. And if you're eating the shellfish that stores it, you're really building up in your body. Not a good idea. So don't eat, if you're going to eat seafood, any type of fish, it's got to be wild caught. And the smaller the fish, the better. Like sardines are way better than tuna, because tuna has a lot more fat and it builds up more toxic chemicals. Again, I don't want to make this a show about fish. I don't eat fish. I don't eat any fish at all. I don't think you should either. But if you're going to, wild caught fish that swim. That's it. No shellfish. I'm sorry to break your heart, but man, they mess with the gut, the liver, inflammatory reaction. So just be careful with that. Even things like sugar and honey and beer, the containers can be an issue. So try to get it in glass if you possibly can. This is one that I started doing about a year ago, and I want you to know about it. Tea bags. The tea bags, even if they're really fancy ones, no chlorine in a tea bag, probably have microplastics in the bag. Why does the paper not melt? If it's just paper in the bag, the paper would just dissolve. They many times put microplastic in the tea bag. So what I do is I now buy loose tea. And there's so many different types of loose tea. You got peppermint for digestion. You got chamomile for relaxation. Fenugreek. I'm doing a lot of fenugreek tea lately. And fenugreek can actually help build your hormones. And I did notice about 3 weeks into drinking fenugreek tea every day, I started noticing my energy was picking up. I was feeling a little more vibrant, a little more effervescent in many areas. And so I have a metal tea ball, and I got, I think, 3 of them for $12 on Amazon. So it's a stainless steel mesh ball, and I just put the fenugreek in there. I'll put a couple of cloves in there, too, if I want to get crazy. So much cheaper than buying tea bags. And I add a little stevia to it, and I'm noticing a difference in my hormone levels since I've been drinking the fenugreek tea. And it's so cheap to buy it that way as opposed to in a bag. If you have tea bags, you don't want to waste them. Cut the bag open, dump the contents in your steel tea ball, and make it that way. So that's another trick for you. Plastic food containers, just don't do it. Glass only. The only time you should ever have plastic is if you're storing something cold in the refrigerator. So, for example, if you cut up a watermelon, you want to put it in a plastic container and put it in the refrigerator, that's fine. But I would not use anything I'm going to freeze or anything I'm going to cook or anything with heat. Plastic containers, really, really bad. Plastic packaging, be careful with that. You can go to bulk bins. I know you have to put it in a plastic bag anyway, but try to reduce the amount of plastic that everything you have in your life. You can do paper bags. I do reusable bags when I go to grocery store a lot. Those are very helpful. So if you're just tuning in, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We're talking today about microplastics and how dangerous they are. Now, I'm not going to cover everything I need to. If you want to get a copy of today's show notes, just send me an email through my website, drjoe.com, and just say microplastics in the email. I'll send you today's show notes. I do this absolutely free. It's my gift to you so you can see what I talked about. I know I talk fast. It's hard to cover everything. And then you can have a checkoff sheet. Absolutely free. My gift to you, drjoe.com. Any health questions? drjoe.com. Book an appointment, drjoe.com. Supplements, where? drjoe.com. And if you have a health issue, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, digestive issues, nutritional concerns, you're stuck. I have a lot of patients. I've been to 10 different doctors. Nobody can figure it out. Go to my website, drjoe.com. Make an appointment. Normally, the first visit is $940. I've reduced that to $299 for your first visit and half your second visit, too. We accept most insurances, car accidents, sports injuries, Medicare. We're even on the VA referral list. Let's see if we can get to the cause of your health care problem and not just treat the symptoms. Every day, patients come to us and say, why didn't I do this sooner? Why didn't somebody explain to me that this was the route I should have taken? And my answer is, across the board, I don't know. I have no idea why that's happening. And here's the thing. As you go through your healthcare journey, it gets easier and better, and you make new changes. You haven't heard me talk much about microplastics in the past 40 years. Now it's a new thing. You have to address it if you want to. If you don't, that's okay too. But drjoe.com, make your appointment, stop suffering needlessly. And don't be one of these patients say, Dr. Joe, I've been meaning to come see you. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 40 years. I've been meaning to come see you. What are you waiting for? You ain't getting younger and you ain't getting healthier. drjoe.com. So, and again, it's a great source of information. Follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, Dr. Joe Esposito, Facebook, The Dr. Joe Esposito. Podcast, Dr. Joe for the Health of It. I want you to listen to the podcast. If you're not listening to the radio station like you should be, where I am, or my other wonderful co-hosts are, you can be listening to a podcast. It's Dr. Joe for the Health of It. Dr. Joe for the Health of It. So we're talking today about plastic and how to get plastic out of your body because it gets into your body, causes inflammation, affects your immune system. Not a good idea. So be careful with canned foods. Try to use frozen foods if you can. Glass jars is better. If you're going to use a can, try to look for something that says BPA free, bisphenol A free, BPA. Now, sometimes they'll have BPA free, but not BPS in there, which is similar to BPA. But organic is usually going to be a better choice on anything. And you know what? If you're buying frozen foods, if you're buying canned foods, it's usually slightly more expensive. But the money you're going to save on everything else, the alcohol, the sugars, the meats, the dairy products, the cheeses, the ice creams, you're going to save so much money by eating a good diet that it's going to way more offset the little bit more you might spend for an organic food. It's certainly worth it. And fruits and vegetables, even if they're not organic, are still better than packaged foods, ultra-processed foods, meats, dairies, coffee, soda. Still better than that. So even if you're eating non-organic fruits and vegetables, it's not a bad choice. Organic's a better choice, though. Airborne dust. You can breathe this if you have the spray they put on your furniture to make it non-stick or make it stain-proof. Flame retardant. All of these are very toxic. I know when flame retardant children's clothes came out, I thought it was a great idea. Except for fire, the clothes aren't going to catch up. Baby's not going to burn. Well, it turns out they're using a lot of toxic chemicals, and a lot of companies pulled back and said, I know it's a good idea. It's flame retardant, but it's not a good idea for the toxicity we're exposing these children to. So that's why you want to use natural fibers everywhere you can. I like I said earlier, I know pure cotton is going to wrinkle. Maybe mostly cotton, 95% cotton. I know there's underwear, 95% cotton, 5% spandex. I get it. Makes them hold up a little bit. So the less exposure you have to these toxic synthetic textiles, the better off you're going to be. This was interesting. Disposable masks. I don't know if you remember a while ago, but masks were all the rage. Remember them? And I didn't like the disposable ones, and this was just intuitive because I liked the cloth ones. They were more comfortable. So I would wash my cloth masks every day and wear them back in the old days. And it turns out those disposable masks have polypropylene fibers in them and ground glass. It can cause a ground glass lung issue. So don't do that. If you're going to wear a mask, just make sure it's cotton and you wash it all the time. Even facial scrubs and micro beads. It's a plastic that causes the scrub. So maybe you want to use ground up oatmeal as a scrub. Much, much better choice. We talked about paint earlier. Make sure it's low VOC, volatile organic compound paint. Most paint today is low VOC. I don't know how old you are, but if you remember when you'd paint, the whole house would stink for days. Highly toxic chemicals. The offset was that you weren't exposing yourself to other chemicals like plastics and steroids, chemicals, hormones, antibiotics, genetically modified food, glyphosate. So the paint was really bad, but we didn't have this other exposure. Now we have so much exposure to everything. We really live in a toxic environment. But you can decide how you live. And we said earlier, you want to get the liver cleaned out because the liver is where you detoxify heavy metals, plastics, a lot of other toxic chemicals. So I take Dr. Joe's glutathione every day as a supplement to keep my liver strong. Also, Dr. Joe's Super Greens has chlorella in it, which also helps detoxify the liver. So every day when I wake up, I look at my supplements and I smile. And I kind of feel like I know something nobody else does. I got a secret. That I'm doing these supplements to keep myself healthy. That I'm eating foods to keep myself healthy. And as the years have gone on, a lot of changes have occurred. I went plant-based a long time ago, but then these plant-based meats came out. Meatballs, hot dogs. Oh my God, they tasted so good. I didn't feel good when I ate them. Hamburgers. And then I started doing research. I said, well, they're better than meat, but they're still not great. So this health journey is just that. It's a journey. It's not a destination. You're always going to be changing. You're always going to be shifting. What can I do better? And you might screw up every now and then. That's okay. Just get back on track again. The nervous system controls everything. Chiropractic care, most effective, least expensive treatment. Fix it. Supplements, way less expensive than coffee or booze, and yet you don't drink twice about going out to a bar and buying 3 or 4 drinks, and that would pay for a month's worth of supplements for you. So do it. Just get yourself well. drjoe.com. Just get it in there. Kitchen plastic, we talked about that. It releases chemicals and gut inflammation. So you want to use cloth covers. You want to use metal containers. I know I went to Costco a while ago and I got these metal containers. They have plastic lids on them. But metal containers, I think it was $18 for this whole set. So I don't put anything hot in there because it still has a plastic lid. But I'll put it in there and once it's cooled off, I'll put it in the refrigerator or the freezer. Perfectly fine. I save glass jars. Good jar with a big wide mouth, like a pickle jar or something, save it. If you go to my pantry, you're going to see 3 shelves worth of glass jars. And every couple of years, on a rainy Sunday, I will go through my pantry and do what my friend Rob, the chef, used to call a rage. You got to do a rage and just clean everything out. And I'll throw out a bunch of glass containers. And then I'll slowly build them up again. But we grew up really poor. We didn't buy stuff. We recycled everything. I wouldn't call it recycling then. But we use everything we can as much as we can. And that lesson has really served me well in my adult life, not just financially, but for health-wise too. We were doing the right things back then. So let me wrap up real quick. Inflammation and oxidative stress across your organs, your lungs, your brain, your gut, all this from the microplastics. It messes with the hormones, the BPAs, the PFAs. They affect fertility, metabolism, thyroid function. Get rid of them. Cardiovascular issues. The microplastics can line the arteries and cause inflammation. Got to get rid of them. It crosses the blood-brain barrier, a lot of these microplastics, which means it gets into the brain, and that can increase your risk of stroke. It can affect the sperm and the egg. Sperm content is dropping dramatically every generation. There's a whole cottage industry came up on artificial insemination because men just don't have strong swimmers like they used to. And a lot of that has to do with exposure to plastics. All right, I'm almost out of time. If you want a copy of today's show notes, because I didn't cover everything, drjoe.com, just put microplastic in there. Any questions, drjoe.com. Podcast, Dr. Joe for the Health of It. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. You get the videos of my podcast, get to see my pretty face. The podcast, Dr. Joe for the Health of It. Make an appointment. The supplements are there. Any questions you have? What supplements do you think I should take? What about these issues? Let me see if I can be your doctor. Let's try to get to the cause of your problems, not just treat the symptoms. I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, drjoe.com. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. All right. Good job fixing everything on the fly there, John. Anybody still with us?
Are you a vegetarian?
I'm a vegan. I haven't had any animal products in 40 years. Well, next year will be my 40-year anniversary, actually. So, yes, so 40 years vegan. Mm-hmm.
Is fish okay to eat?
If you're going to eat fish, it's got to be wild-caught swimming fish. We talked about that maybe in the first section of the show. I would stay away from all bottom dwellers. I would stay away from catfish, flounder, lake fish. They even did I think did a study in Australia, even in the outbacks and stuff, and they couldn't find any fish that wasn't toxic, that didn't have mercury and other toxic chemicals in it. So, smaller sea fish. So, sardines, smaller they are, the less toxic chemicals they are. Big fish, tuna, tuna, mackerel, shark, not a good idea. But I wouldn't eat it anyway. But if you do eat it, it's got to be small seafood, sea fish. What else?
What is the best type of cheese?
There is no good cheese. Vegan cheeses are okay. I'll be honest with you, they all taste the same to me. And again, I'm vegan. I mean, I tried I bought some provolone the other day. It was $1 at Sprouts. It was on a discount rack, and it was still good. I had a couple more days left to it. And I miss provolone. I'm Italian. Boy, I missed a good Italian provolone cheese. And I thought, oh, man, finally. It tasted just like the cheddar, which tasted just like the Swiss. It all tastes the same, the vegan cheese. So, unfortunately, there really isn't a good vegan cheese. There isn't a good cheese. The vegan cheeses are better choices, but they don't have the same flavor. So, wish I had a better answer for you on that one, but I don't.
Does eating lots of fruit mean too much fructose?
No, because the fructose is offset with fiber and phytonutrients. Now you do fruit juice. Yes, spiking your fructose, horrible. I've done many shows on that before. But whole fruit, absolutely no problem at all. Eat away. What else?
What is the best cure for inflammation?
Stop causing it. It really is. Chiropractic care puts the bones back in place and takes the stress off the joints. Dr. Joe's turmeric, I take it every single day. Turmeric is a wonderful anti-inflammatory. But staying away from what I call the 7 deadly sins: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. I know that's your whole diet. But staying away from the 7 deadly sins is really the best thing you can do to reduce the inflammation. So don't cause it is the thing. Now, we're going to get inflammation. We're going to have plastics we're going to be exposed to. We're going to be exposed to chemicals, perfumes, hairsprays, colognes, new car smells. So I take turmeric. I eat a very good diet. I eat a plant-based diet. And my inflammation levels are extremely low. So that's the way to do it, is don't cause it. So what else?
That is all.
Thanks, guys. Sorry for the mix-up. If you just tuned in, we had a little issue with our camera earlier.